soared 36.7% from March of 2021. Rich Thomason reporting.
J.P. Morgan Chase says its first quarter profits dropped by 42% from last year, partly because the bank had to write down nearly $1.5 billion in assets due to higher inflation and Russia's war in Ukraine.
Eight 2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Well, it's a great day to have a parade in the capital city. Indeed, they are having one for the USC women's basketball team, celebrating their second national championship. A lot of folks in downtown Columbia. Sure, they're having a big old time. Dawn Staley, who was on late night TV, I think, was it last night? She was on one of the late night shows. I think I saw a tweet of that. I guess she was up there. When was the draft? Was that last night or the night before? Might have been around the time of the draft. Probably was last night. I think the draft was Monday night, wasn't it, Chris?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Monday night. And then also you had her all over Charlotte. She was at the professional soccer team that the 49ers. The Panthers have. David Tepper has his new team, Charlotte FC.
Yeah.
And then also she was at the Charlotte Hornets game as well.
Yeah. And she was in I saw a picture of her at a Sixers game.
Now
Maybe
that
that
makes
was
more
the end
sense.
of last week.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot more sense
Yeah.
than her wearing a Charlotte. I think it was a Charlotte Sting for the WNBA team. Being a Philadelphia native, I'm stunned that she would even dare wear something other than a Sixers garb when she goes to basketball.
Well, I'm sure they're having a big time in the parade, and you know what? It won't be the last one probably for this group, with this team coming back and what they're adding to it. You know, had they not had that COVID year, there might have been another one for them. They might have won the national championship that year, though you never know game by game in the tournament, in the Final Four, what's going to happen. But on paper, at least, seems like that would have been a likely scenario. All right, so it's a happy time in Columbia for the USC women's basketball team. We're getting ready for the USC spring football game. What are you expecting? Throw this out there, 888-898-2525. We heard from him today. You'll hear from him tonight. Spencer Rattler. I mean, first of all, could there be a better name for a quarterback? You know, with that name, he should really be a professional wrestler or a NASCAR driver. But Spencer Rattler at quarterback for the Gamecocks. What do you want to see out of him in the spring game, Chris? What do you think? What do you think would be? Here's my take. I think that the fans want to see him light it up. The fans want to see him throw for, 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. And you know what? Then you'll say, well, what's wrong with the defense? Nah, don't worry about that. I think for the sake of the Gamecock fans and their psyche coming off a really good offensive performance against North Carolina with that win, you want to build on it with a lot of recruits in the audience, and they're hoping for a big crowd for a Saturday night game. Light up the scoreboard and, see if you can get that offense cranking, give people something to talk about. You know, Spurrier used to do that with of course, he would, I think, load it up so the offense would score a lot of points. In fact, we didn't play this, I don't think, last night with Beamer, but Beamer made a comment that when he was an assistant coach, he didn't name the head coach. We all knew who it was. He says, when I was an assistant coach for this one head coach, he would make us go in the spring game and have only 10 on defense so that he would be sure to score with his offense. He wanted his offense to go out there and score. But you know what? There's a nice psychological approach to that, don't you think? I mean, look at the Clemson spring game last Saturday. I mean, the defense is dominated because they're great. Offense struggled 15-7, a lot of field goals. You think Clemson fans walked away from that game after being there in person or watching it on television feeling good about their offense? They feel great about their defense, but they've got to be worried about their offense.
And worried about their quarterback position in particular, Phil, because all they heard, going in after last season was, all right, Cade Klubnik is coming. What is DJ Uyunglele going to look like going into the spring? And then he comes out, and let's face it, he had a subpar spring game, fairly or unfairly. He did not perform all that well. Now you go into the offseason thinking, oh, my gosh, as good as our defense is, we still have to score some points. And how can our offense do it? Now, in fairness, and it'll be the same thing coming up on Saturday, there are a lot of guys missing from the Clemson attack that were unavailable due to injury.
Did we lose our man, Mr. Chris, the night before he goes on vacation? He just dropped like a rock. All right, we'll get back up to Chris in just a moment. Chris, reconnect if you are hearing us because you just dropped. So our phone number, 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. What do you want to see from the Gamecock offense and from Spencer Rattler in particular in the game on Saturday? I would say, really, Gamecock fans want to see him put on a show. And for that matter, Luke Doty. You want to see Luke Doty with the second team run around well, do what he can do. But, it's most important that Rattler, first of all, not get hurt. And second of all, show that he and the receivers are connected and work well together and show off that arm. I mean, he supposedly has $1 million arm. So show off that arm and let the people see what he's really all about. Highly touted quarterback that South Carolina now has in their possession and a chance to really build on that with their offense. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Love to get your take on that. Chris is back with us. Pick it back up.
That was somewhat unsettling on radio where you're talking and all of a sudden there's nothing. My computer went to black, to use a TV term.
Yeah.
And I apologize for that.
I told you how to fix those computers, man.
I'm doing that tomorrow. Yeah. Since we're going to be out on vacation for a few days, I'm going to take the laptop and get it serviced. But
hammer.
No, I just a hammer and maybe throw it off a cliff. We are going to the mountains. Maybe I can take it up to Blowing Rock and just see how far it can fall off the edge.
Do what that gal did in the NBA game last night. Glue your computer to the interstate and let a Mack truck run over. Did you see that?
I did not.
Do you know about that?
I do not.
Well, some woman in the game out, I guess it was the Clippers and Minnesota game in Minnesota, and she glued herself to the court. She was protesting something. I don't remember, but she glued herself to the court.
That's weird.
Before the game tipped off, she glued herself to the court. So anyway, go ahead, pick up on what you were saying.
Where was security on that? No, just following up. I'm not sure where you lost me, but just saying that the Clemson fans are now probably in two camps. Yeah, let's see if DJ can get it turned around going into the fall. And the other side of the campus, I've seen enough of him. Let's see what Cade Klubnik can do. And that's part of the reason we have a poll question that's gotten some interesting response about how long DJ may be able to hold on to his starting job. And Saturday certainly didn't help. But to your question about South Carolina's spring game, and if there is anything about Spencer Rattler, you listen to him talk. That young man is a confident young player, despite what he went through at Oklahoma and being benched and sort of sulked his head in the whole 9 yards and some baggage that he brought. That is a confident young man. Feels like he's got the offense almost down pat now. And he played it right down the middle. He said, well, we just want to go out and execute and do our thing against USC's defense. But I think you're right. I think the Gamecocks want to see that offense just move it up and down the field with everybody involved. And I'll be curious, too, the Gamecock fans, how much do you want to see of Luke Doty?
Probably want to see a lot.
Coming off his injury.
They probably want to see a lot. Our good buddy, he really is Dr. Rick's really, really good friend. He's more of an acquaintance of ours. HR, checking in with us tonight with a comment on Twitter, DMing us. He says, So typical. $1 million arm, 10-cent brain. Now, come on. I think he's talking about, I'm sure he's talking about Rattler there.
Okay.
I mean, Rattler.
It's very possible he could struggle, but who knows?
I think he has showed in his time at Oklahoma that he can handle reading defenses and handling defenses and handling what's thrown at him. I think the thing for him is just keeping the emotions in check.
Yeah.
Because I think he's wired on the football field. He seems really cool, calm, and collected in front of the media and talking to us. Very respectful, very team-oriented. But I think on the football field, he's a competitor and he's wired pretty tight, I would say. Very good.
He seems like he's got a big group of people around him too. You asked him at the press conference today what his summer, or at least his late spring, early summer, was going to look like. And he talked about going back home and working with his athletic trainer and working with his quarterback coach and the whole 9 yards. I mean, this is a young man that's sort of almost robo QB, isn't he? I mean, I'm not sure how much time he gets because he threw it at the end of his answer and relaxed a little bit. But it didn't sound like he had much planned outside of football. I think that's probably what you want, but good grief. Got to give a little time for yourself, don't you?
Absolutely. All right, we got some news notes as well. This just coming in a little while ago from South Carolina. Pitching rotation for the Ole Miss series, another change for the Gamecocks. It'll be Aiden Hunter starting on Thursday, Noah Hall on Friday, and Will Sanders on Saturday.
So has Becker just played himself out of the rotation because they stuck him in there for a couple of innings against Georgia as a reliever?
Well, they like Becker as he referred to him as a swing guy. They like him as a midweek guy and a guy that can come out of the bullpen and help them win a game or two on the weekend. So they think he's more valuable because of their arm situation. They think he's more valuable as a swing guy instead of being set in a rotation and only getting one game out of him per week. I guess they think they can get 2 or 3 games out of him per week. So that's going to be the rotation for the Gamecocks. It's going to be Hunter and Hall and Sanders. If the Gamecocks can hold these young pitchers together and their psyche not be too damaged if they have tough times. I mean, they have got some good young arms.
No doubt.
They have got some good young arms. The problem is they're young. They're good. That's the good part. The bad part is they're young, and when you live with young arms, you sometimes just have to live and die with them and watch them grow. But it's going to be Hunter, Hall, and Sanders scheduled to start for the Gamecocks for their series Thursday, Friday, Saturday against Ole Miss, which is struggled a bit, and they have dropped down in the national rankings.
It's a quick turnaround for Aiden Hunter. You remember he started. Now, he didn't work very long because he got shelled early. But he pitched 3 innings on Sunday, and they lost to Georgia. He was their starting pitcher. So that's a pretty quick turnaround in terms of college time between pitching, that he's going to roll back out there and be the starter tomorrow night against, even with Ole Miss struggling of late, still a very, very good baseball team they're going to see this weekend.
Absolutely. One other quick note I want to mention, and then we'll take a break and get to phone calls. They've announced the coaches for the 2022 Touchstone Energy Cooperative Bowl. The head coaches will be Robin Bacon, Spring Valley for the North, and Justin Gentry of Chapin for the South. Both are veteran head coaches, excellent coaches. The coaching staff for Bacon on the North will be Chris Liner of Greenwood, Robert Muster of Powdersville, Demetrius Davis of Fairfield Central, Brian Smith, Rich Spring Manetta, Larry Poole, an assistant coach at Pillion, and Gil Cade, an assistant coach at Abbeville, where it's all about the A. The assistants for the South, B.J. Payne from Hilton Head. Now, he is quite the character. You ever talked to him?
I have not.
He is quite the
chance
character.
to run across
He is
him.
a funny guy. Roosevelt Nelson, former Clemson linebacker at Crestwood. Justin Danner from Lee Central. Scott Cook of East Clarendon. Gene Williams, Bamberg Earhart. He'll be an assistant, or he's an assistant from Bamberg Earhart. And Marco Thompson from Manning, who is an assistant coach. So there you go. Congratulations to those guys. Hard work, paying off. Excited for you. Looking forward to being around you and talking to you come December for the Touchstone Energy Cooperative Bowl. And didn't I think I saw a tweet late last week that the Shrine Bowl confirmed it is coming back in 2022. Did you see that?
About time. I have not seen that, but that is certainly good news. Need to see both of those games being played again on a regular basis as they have been for so many years.
The gal who glued herself to the court The animal rights group Direct Action Everywhere, that's who she was repping. She wore a T-shirt saying Glenn Taylor roasts animals alive, protesting the mass killing of chickens amid a flu outbreak. Now, he's the former owner. You know, he sold the team. A-Rod is one of the new owners. This guy sold the team to a couple of people. And A-Rod is one of them. So she's protesting the wrong guy, I guess, from the standpoint of team ownership. But, yeah, he had to kill a bunch of chickens because they got that bird flu.
Right.
And so, I mean, what do you want to do? You want to eat it and everybody gets sick from it? I mean, he did what he had to do.
Where is security, though, at Minnesota's facility that a lady can actually get out on the floor and glue herself to the cords?
Well, you know, she probably had seats right there on the floor, feet on the floor. And she's just walking along, and she's got some glue. I don't know what kind of glue she would use, but she glued herself to the cords. I mean, seriously. Anyway, NBA playoffs are underway.
Since she's an animal rights protester, I'm guessing Gorilla Glue was not what she was using, right?
Or the glue had not been tested on animals, I would hope. You know, they do that kind of stuff. All right, we got to hit a break. Coming up, we got a great show for you. Mike Morgan with us tonight because he's busy now on Thursdays. He'll be with us tonight. Also, Jalen Llewellyn, the new Clemson basketball transfer signee from Princeton. We're going to have him with us around 7:15. We're going to compare SAT scores first, and then we're going to talk basketball. We'll put yours and mine together.
Pat's the only hope we got. Yeah.
And we'll put all three together and see if it equals his. We'll be right back.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dream. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. Futurescholar.com.
The lady in black doesn't age. Number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. And since 2002, more than 2.1 million lottery-funded scholarships, such as Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow scholarships, have been awarded to South Carolina students. Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/educationwins. Playing for fun is a win for education. All right, Pat, you want to correct our first mistake of the night, please?
Oh, I was just telling you that off air, but not a big deal. Glenn Taylor, that sale of the Minnesota Timberwolves does not actually become final until 2023. So he is still the controlling owner as of right now.
Okay.
Phil, no one cares about the Minnesota Timberwolves, so you could have let that go and no one would have known.
Kevin Garnett, he cares about it. One other quick note here, Lamont Parrish, USC men's basketball coach, and he has announced more additions to his support staff, retaining 2 from Frank Martin's staff. David McKinley, been hired Director of Player Development. Colby Arundel, Director of Basketball Ops. Roman DePasquale, Video Coordinator. All 3 come from Chattanooga.
Scott Greenewalt, who has been at USC the last 10 seasons, will remain as strength and conditioning coach. And Mark Roger remains as the men's basketball athletic trainer. He's had that role for 16 years. So it's coming together. Still needs to hire another assistant coach, full-time assistant coach. He's got Kerry Rich in there as his direct associate, not associate head coach, but assistant to the head coach, I guess you could say. And he hired 2 assistant coaches from UTC. To the phones we go. 888-898-2525. We go to Danny in Florence. First up tonight. Good to have you with us, Danny. How are you?
Fine, Phil. How are you?
Good, sir.
Listen, I just got a question. I know you haven't talked about this since you initially talked about it that I heard of, but I did hear Alan Smothers advertise his show and brag about it. So what's the final word on all the Duke and all the top 5 programs forfeiting all their games and Coach K going possibly going to prison? Now, Alan Smothers, he kept advertising his show as saying, we're going to have the next shoe to drop with all this bad news about Coach K. I don't hear a word about it anymore.
Well, I can't speak for what Alan was talking about. I had not heard where there's going to be some sort of major issue. I mean, there was the stuff that's come out in the book and some things in the book that made some accusations about the Duke basketball program related to Zion Williamson. Now, whether or not that's going to go anywhere remains to be seen. That's the only thing I've heard recently. How about you, Chris?
About the same. And I mean, that it's in terms of, violations that have been committed by basketball programs around the country, that one seems fairly mild and certainly not something that would cause everybody else to forfeit games. I don't know where that might be coming from. I mean, when you've got situations.
Well, it came because Phil said that they should forfeit all their games when he played.
Well, yeah, I think with any game that Zion Williamson played in and won, if it's true what is being reported in that book, then they should forfeit, correct?
Well, I mean, nobody talks about it. I mean, it's like it's a non-issue now.
Well, I mean, because I guess nothing's being done about it at this point in time. I don't know if the NCAA is going to follow up with an investigation or if the FBI is going to continue to travel down that road that would lead to Krzyzewski or anybody else. I mean, we don't know right now, but these people have a way of doing things. Who knew that Will Wade was going to get canned when he got canned? Who knew that things are going to be coming out about the LSU program and the NCAA allegations when they came out? They have a way of doing things quietly until they go public with it. So who knows?
Well, Coach K's not there now. They got the number 1 recruiting class in the country anyway. They got a new coach.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
I did who was it? Where did I read this? Some major writer wrote that Krzyzewski might come back and coach another year. Did you read that?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen. But I'm
it
trying
was
to remember
actually
who wrote
Jay
that.
Williams. It was Jay Williams, the
no,
former
that
player.
was in the Sun. That was in an interview with Jay Williams.
Yeah.
And he suggested that?
Yeah.
He said he thought it was a possibility.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's going to happen.
But Coach K is still working at the university, though.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got an office for him, and I'm sure he'll come by basketball practice, and I'm sure he'll lend some ideas to his successor.
He and his wife both got lifetime jobs there, and his daughter's assistant athletic director.
Yeah. K family's done okay. They've done okay. Yeah. They've done better than the K car. The K family has done just fine.
Listen. They got a long way since those early days when Tom Butters got death threats for extending his contract.
That's right. Well, he was very smart to hang in there with him, don't you think?
Yeah, but
just like Larry, I think it was Larry. Who was it? The coach, the AD at Virginia Tech. Was it Larry Weaver? Hung in there with Frank Beamer when they got off to an ugly start with him, and look what he built. Sometimes patience is a virtue.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so thank you very much.
Okay.
Good hearing from you. Let's go to Bruce in Columbia. Got about 90 seconds here. Bruce, welcome in. How are you?
Well, thank you for taking my call. I guess it's over with now, right? Now, it's Elmer's glue that she used on the basketball court.
Couldn't use Gorilla
She
Glue.
slid
Could
more
not
than
use
she got
Gorilla Glue.
stuck. She slid more than she got stuck. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what I was going to talk about now. Anyway, Frank Howard had a office until the day he died at Clemson, and he was making all kind of front covers of magazines, football magazines, and all kind of stuff. His career just kind of got blasted away when he retired.
He was probably more popular as a dinner speaker than he was as a coach.
Of course, but also now you got to understand the debacle that went on with North Carolina. I've told you about that. They were actually going to shut down the whole college because of the African American curriculum that didn't exist, and they were going to take their accreditation away from North Carolina, and nothing happened with that.
That is correct. That is still a mind-boggling case of that. I don't know how you explain how they went through what they went through and did what they did and got no punishment out of it. To this day, North Carolina should have been hammered for what was going on, creating fake classes and giving out fake grades to people. We'll be right back. Mike Morgan.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast, partly cloudy with lows around 64. It's going to be a nice night. Thursday, a slight chance of showers between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Then a chance of showers and thunderstorms after 1 p.m., mostly cloudy with highs near 83. Tomorrow night, a chance of showers and thunderstorms remain, mainly before 2 a.m. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
When you think about spring, good stuff springs to mind. You know, like spring break. Woohoo! A friend springing for drinks.
Thanks, dude.
A spring in your step. Spring fever.
Oh, behave.
And best of all, spring water dough pizza from the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers.
Yeah, baby.
Experience the taste of spring with our amazing hand-tossed pies, spring fresh salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. Enjoy spring at the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
The thing about me taking it is I am super healthy to begin with. I don't have any medical problems whatsoever. But I can tell you what I did notice was my hair, my skin, and my nails. They're even better. That is definitely noticeable. But I think the main thing I could say for it, and the reason I keep taking it, is because it keeps me healthy. I mean, I'm sold on it and I'll always take it because it just keeps me in a healthy state.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code BALANCE.
America's most respected prosecutors and police officers are supporting the Equal Act, a bill that will help build trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. And the Equal Act has already overwhelmingly passed the House of Representatives with a bipartisan vote of 361 to 66. Our Senator Lindsey Graham has co-sponsored the Equal Act in the Senate, putting the bill one step closer to final passage. Law enforcement and prosecutors are supporting the Equal Act because it promotes fundamental fairness and equity in the justice system. And this bipartisan legislation will strengthen community relations and improve public safety. Join us in thanking Senator Graham for standing with law enforcement and for public safety. It's time for the Senate to move our country toward a smarter, more effective justice system. It's time to pass the Equal Act into law now. Paid for by Justice Action Network.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
If you're like me, you're sick and tired of seeing these old TV stars, game show hosts, these athletes telling you how to save money on your Medicare and on your health insurance. These national toll-free numbers are overwhelming us. It's not that people don't need the service. They need good local customer service, not big box toll-free numbers. See, I work directly with Tim Hanberry right here at Medicare Blueprint in the Midlands. When it comes to my family, I want the best family plan. I'm not even on Medicare, but my mom is. So here's what I do want. Someone local to serve as my advisor on the plans and choices that I have, and someone to help mom with her Medicare. I want someone to help me pick the right plan, save me as much money as possible by knowing all the rules of the game. Medicare Blueprint starts the process with you. They will see it through. They answer all your questions. They call you back. It's the same folks helping you start to finish. Tim and his team are independent. They fight for you, not the insurance company. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on The Point, join me, Chad Jordan, and my co-host Larry Jordan for the Palmetto Real Estate Pros. We'll help you out whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn all things real estate every Friday right here at 100.7 The Point.
The AARP Fraud Watch Network can help you keep yourself and your family safe. Learn more, visit aarp.org/fraudwatch network for news and tips on how to spot common scams and to learn about and report scams in your area.
Sports Talk, Oakhorn Blue, Chris Bergen, Pat Daniel. Listen to Chris closely tonight because you won't hear him again for a week. Going on vacation.
Yeah, headed up to the mountains. One thing I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, getting to see my eldest niece play lacrosse tomorrow night. Mackenzie plays for the Malden JV team, so get a chance to see her if it doesn't rain it out tomorrow in the upstate. So got to keep my fingers crossed thunderstorms won't come through. But yeah, I was considering getting an old T-shirt and writing number 3 on the shirt itself because that's her number, and just really making a fit out of myself and embarrassing her to no end. Because you know how teenagers, it's pretty easy to embarrass them, especially family members. You know how that is, Corn.
Absolutely, and you do your best to embarrass them, right?
That's half the fun.
And hope they don't
being
embarrass
related to
you
them,
back.
right? This is true.
Yeah, I get that. Well, enjoy your vacation. Well deserved because you've had a long, hard run here between play-by-play for for Coastal Carolina and going all over the place, and some very strange road trips. And then, of course, putting up with us and dealing with us, that's a whole nother story.
That's the best part.
Few things to update you on before we get back to phone calls. And we're trying to connect with Mike. Mike. He's not answering. So I'll tell you that the South Carolina women are playing in the SEC Women's Golf Championship, which is being played out in, of course, Birmingham. And they are going to finish today a shot off the lead. Auburn is your leader, even par, 288. Gamecocks in Florida are tied for second at +1. LSU and Ole Miss, LSU's +3. Ole Miss is +4. Arkansas is +8. That's top of the leaderboard for you. For the Gamecocks today, looks like the best score was a 71 turned in by Hannah Darling. So she goes out and shoots a 71. That's 1 under par, best score of the day for the Gamecocks. And as far as the individual leaderboard, she would be right now tied for 5th with that 1 under par 71. So the Gamecocks trying to win an SEC championship, number 3 ranked team in the country. And why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they go out and win the championship? The ACC Women's Championship begins tomorrow, and they're playing it at the beautiful Reserve Club in Pawleys Island. So if you're a golf fan and you want to see some great college golf and you're along the coast, head over to the Reserve Club at Pawleys Island. That's a beautiful golf course. You ever been back there for that? Pawleys Island?
No, sir. I don't get that opportunity all that often. They keep me off the really, really nice golf courses.
I don't blame them. Which reminds me, speaking about Pawleys and great golf courses and all that, when you're thinking about making your plans for this summer and you want to get yourself a great place at the beach, you need to give Jimmy Smith a call at James Smith Realty right there in Pawleys Island. And, of course, with Jimmy, he can set you up with golf at any of the great golf courses there in Litchfield and Pawleys, all part of the deal there when you connect with him on some property. That phone number is 843-237-4246. Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. Of course, Paulie's is a great place to stay for a holiday. Paulie's in Litchfield and Garden City and Georgetown, all those areas there. And so we recommend you give Jimmy Smith a call. Jimmy and his staff will do you right. They'll find exactly what you're looking for, the right size and the right price, and for the right amount of time. Might be a week, might be a month. Maybe you want to buy some property. You know, it's getting tight down there, buying and selling property. You need the best in the business. That's Jimmy Smith at James Smith Realty, 843-237-4246, or Paulie's vacationrentals.com to connect with them. All right. Okay. No luck connected with Mike. So I tell you what, Spencer Rattler, we can connect with him, the Gamecock quarterback who went before the media again today. I'll give South Carolina a ton of credit throughout this spring practice. They have done a great job of providing us with coaches and players throughout. If you're a Gamecock fan, you're a listener, you're a reader, you cannot be disappointed with the amount of access that the media has had, both in terms of going out and watching some practice in the morning and then talking to players and coaches throughout spring practice. We're going to have another meeting with coordinators tomorrow morning. And then, of course, the game is on Saturday night. Today, among the players, they brought several players out, about a half dozen players, I guess. All of them are up on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. But, of course, when the quarterback talks, people, they want to hear the quarterback, don't they, more than anything else? Here is Spencer Rattler picking up where he talks about spring practice for him, how he's feeling out there, and looking ahead to the spring game, hoping to have a good time out there.
I definitely learned a majority of the offense, obviously still settling into a few things, with it being a brand new system. But for me, I'm really comfortable right now. We're just working our controlled passing game, working on those run checks, seeing what we're best at. And, we're making some strides every single day. So we got a lot of playmakers. I just got to get the ball in their hands and they'll make the plays.
And I know for you were talking about earlier this spring, just getting adjusted to being under center a little more and kind of the pace of it. Just what's that been like? Where do you feel like that's at now a couple of weeks later? And I guess what are some of the things that you've learned in that process as well?
Yeah, I'm definitely more comfortable with being under center, especially just with the passing game, just getting your feet down, getting the footwork down. That's the big thing for me, just being on time with my feet. That's what I'll be working, Thursday and obviously in the spring game. And then when I go home with my coaches out there. So that's my focus.
Spencer, now that you've had roughly a month, maybe a little bit more around this wide receiving core, curious to just kind of what's changed about your thoughts on their ability, the way they go about how they work every day from maybe the first day you're on campus to what you maybe see and notice now.
Yeah, from the first day, I got here, I could tell they were some playmakers, big physical, fast guys. All of them have been playing well. I think we just got to still get our chemistry down, obviously. But that'll come. We got some time to work on that, throughout the summer, and we'll get that down. But guys are making plays. I mean, yesterday, Juice, Antoine Wells, I probably had like 4 or 5 touchdowns to him in team periods. So he's a big time playmaker, strong hands, runs his routes aggressive, and is super confident. So having a guy like that out there who's going to go get the ball, and Xavier Leggett, all these types of guys, Josh Van, everybody's looking good right now. And then obviously, some of our other guys haven't been, practicing as much, but we're playing with who we got, and it's been fun being out there with those guys every day.
Speaking of Antoine Wells, outside of the, learning X's and O's and learning a new playbook, what are some of the challenges that you think you faced, and Antoine, maybe some of these new guys that you've talked to that are coming in as transfers, and how do you feel right now in comparison to maybe when you stepped on campus that first day?
Yeah, I just feel like we're way more educated, obviously, on the offense now. We can go more in depth with installs and stuff like that. Coaches, I feel like, trust us more with what we see, and it's an everyday process, but we're definitely more comfortable now.
It's obviously the spring game Saturday. Just what would you like to see from this offense that day to really kind of end spring on a high note? What are some of the kind of the goals for the offense going into this game?
I think a perfect day for us would be to go out there and just execute on every level in the run game, control passing game, and obviously in the explosive play battle. We want to hit some explosive plays down the field and get big time plays. Really we just want to put on a show. So that's the plan, and we're just going to go out there and try to execute at highest level.
Spencer, Saturday night will be the first time in a while that you'll run out onto the field inside of a football stadium, and it won't be Oklahoma fans cheering for you.
Yeah.
What's your expectation of the spring game on Saturday night, just in terms of an atmosphere, and then also for yourself personally? Will it feel any different? What do you feel like maybe coming in just a couple days ahead of that? What do you think that feeling for yourself internally might be?
I'm definitely excited. It's gonna be my first time on at a different stadium, I guess you could say, especially in the SEC environment. I'm excited to see what the fans are gonna be like. I've heard nothing but great things. Hopefully it's packed out 50, 60,000 deep. So come to the spring game, 7 p.m. Saturday night. It's gonna be a fun game. I'm excited to be out there. Like you said, I haven't been able to, get on a field and play yes, I have, but I know what you're saying. I'm excited to get out there and play in front of the Gamecock fans.
What is your off season going to be like? You mentioned going back and working with your coaches, and how much time will you spend here working with your guys here? And what are some of your other plans for maybe like traveling or whatever your plans are for the off season?
Yeah, for the off season, I'm gonna get away. I'm gonna get out of here end of April, just because I don't have any in-person classes right now, so I can get out a little earlier, and then I'll come back end of May, like May 30th, before our workouts start up June 1st. So, but I'll be working with my strength coach, Rube Oliver, down at Elite U in Arizona, and then obviously Mike Giovando, my quarterback coach out there. So we'll have we usually got a lot of college NFL guys working with us, so I'll be able to keep up to speed with the routes, all that type of stuff, footwork. I'm just going to be working everything. So, yeah. And then obviously relax a little bit.
I know you haven't been here that long, but you're pretty vocal on Twitter the last couple of weeks with the women's basketball team. Yep. When you see another team on campus just as a competitor, what does that do to you? What does that do from a motivational standpoint and just wanting to be able to get to that level?
Yeah, that's motivation for sure. How dominant they were all year, watching them. They're the big dogs on campus. That's how I look at it. That's how we all kind of look at it. So they set the tone for us to go out there and play at our highest level. So I feel like that's inspiration, motivation for all of us. So congrats to the ladies. They had a great year. We're dominant the whole year, and obviously in the national championship. So that just sets the tone for our football team.
Spencer, on defense, I'm curious, are there any defensive backs over the course of spring drills where you've kind of found yourself as the spring has gone along saying, maybe I shouldn't test that guy. He's kind of had my number lately.
Yeah. Cam Smith is the truth. He's probably the best DB I've gone against, in practice, in my college career so far. He's long, he's fast, he can get in the box and make tackles. He's all around. I kind of look at him like a Derwin James / Jalen Ramsey type guy. He's just really good, and we try to, really don't want to put up too many 50-50 balls with him, but all the guys, all the DBs are good. Sell, D-Rush, all of them are playing well. So they're getting us better on offense, not just me, but the receivers and everybody else. So, I'm happy we get to go against those guys every day.
All right, Spencer Rattler getting ready to show the Gamecock fans what he's got in that powerful right arm and in those legs on Saturday night, hoping to, like he said, put on a show and impress the fans and give them something to think about in the offseason about what it could be like for this Gamecock football team in 2022. And again, why not go out, put on a big show, and build up the optimism and also give your team some confidence. Think better about yourself than maybe you actually are, but sometimes that'll help you raise your level of performance when you think that way. All right, Mike Morgan is set. We'll join him after the break.
I learned that people are just looking for somebody to listen to them. You can't just start cutting somebody's hair and you're going to be quiet the whole time because you're not going to be in business long.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has provided over $800 million to help students attend technical colleges across our state, investing in a new generation of entrepreneurs, just like James. Your passion is our purpose.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills three major responsibilities. One, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. Two, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, boat smart.
Okay, we now welcome into Sports Talk our good buddy Mike Morgan. Morgan on the move, and he definitely has been on the move, both in terms of days with us here on Sports Talk, normally a Thursday visit, Wednesday, tonight, maybe for the foreseeable future because he's got a lot of stuff going on Thursdays right now with baseball and then getting ready for some football on the weekend. Mike, how are you, sir? Good to have you back with us.
Good to be with you. There's nothing wrong with a Morgan on the Move Hump Day installment, right? That's got a good ring to it. Yeah, a lot of the games that I'm doing in addition to Saturday games will be on Thursday night. So this will work a little bit better. After doing a spring game Saturday, we're back to full-fledged baseball for a while.
Well, as the Geico Camel would say, Mike, what day is it? Mike.
That's right.
You like that, huh?
Me and the camel have a lot in common.
Well, it's Hump Day. See, it's Hump Day.
Yeah, no, I got the gist. Yeah.
So,
going now. You're on a roll there.
That's
good.
good. I don't want to use all my good material before 7 o'clock.
Yeah, save it for the home run, the home stretch.
So, how was Kentucky in the snow? Right, a little snow up there on Saturday.
That was crazy. I mean, it snowed an hour before kickoff. Eventually, they got it to, I don't know if they have one of those electric melters or what, but they managed to get it off the field, which is probably a good thing because I can't see Coach Stoops risking an injury with a guy tearing up a knee or something else on snow for a spring game. I was talking to Tony Neely. You've probably run into him, a longtime SID at Kentucky. He's been there 28 years. I said, have you ever had anything like this? He said, no, never in 28 years. It's all that global warming we've been hearing about. But eventually we got to the point where we could actually play ball. I mean, it's cold. It was chilly. That cut the attendance by probably 75, 80%. But it was still good enough to see one of the top signal callers in college football this year and a potential first-round draft pick in Will Levis. I mean, by now, everybody knows the story on Kentucky. It's the team you ignore leading up to the season, and then it's the team you're forced to pay attention to when you have to play them, and then it's the team that you acknowledge at the end of the year surpassed your expectations. I mean, they do that every year under Mark Stoops, right? Another 10-win season last year. How did they do it? I don't know. Honestly, they did it with a minus 11 turnover margin. They did it when they had a 3-game losing streak in the middle of conference play, but they got the ship right. They won a ton of close games. I mean, that's really their thing. They're not full of a bunch of 5-star guys. They're not flashy, but they win close games. And, I think they'll be good once again. I don't think they're 10-win good, but when you look at the battle for second place in the SEC, let's say Georgia takes 1 and Vandy assumes the position in the number 7 hole. So 2 through 6, I mean, good luck predicting that. I think there's room for a lot of movement with all 5 of those teams.
Where do you see the Gamecocks fitting in?
Well, I mean, that's one of those teams, exactly to my point. Like, okay, you win, somehow you pull a rabbit out of the hat and win 7 games last year, which I thought was an outstanding coaching job by Shane Beamer and his staff. And then all of a sudden you get a guy that we haven't seen the likes of 5-star talent at quarterback in Columbia in a long, long time. Now, are we going to see the Spencer Rattler that earned those 5 stars in the recruiting rankings, or the one that at times struggled last year at Oklahoma and lost the starting job? So, if you get good Spencer Rattler, and I'm pretty confident you have a good running game behind him, if you have some receivers step up, and if the defense steps up, then all of a sudden there's no reason why Carolina can't fight for second place. If all those things don't fall into play, you're probably somewhere between 3rd and 5th. I think the margin is that thin between a Carolina, a Florida, a Tennessee, and Missouri. I think they're all kind of jammed in that middle of the pack of the Eastern Division.
What'd you make of JT Daniel, who, of course, at one point looked like he was going to be the golden boy at Georgia, and now he loses the job to a walk-on, of course, who became sensational, and now he's transferring to West Virginia. But it just goes to show you just never know.
Well, Georgia could become the first program in football history to have 3 guys that were benched and transferred and wound up starting in the NFL if this kid turns out to be the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got 2 other guys, one that's starting in Fields and another one that, went out west and is now in the NFL and getting some runs. So who knows? For whatever reason, it never clicked with Daniels at Georgia. And I think to this day, people still have a hard time believing that Stetson Bennett is a better quarterback because he doesn't fit the mold of what you're supposed to fit. But I think that's really antiquated thinking. The bottom line is he was just better. He was better on the field. He was better in practice. Kirby didn't start Stetson Bennett because, he had compromising photographs of Kirby Smart. He started him because he was just better. So it doesn't mean that JT can't go to West Virginia and light it up. All the best to him. But it just never panned out at Georgia. And the thing is, Georgia has the luxury that most programs don't. Most programs have to be really patient with a quarterback and go through the ups and downs. If you're Georgia, you just write them off early, play somebody else, and then eventually, even after Stetson's gone, they'll have true 5-star guys just waiting in the wings.
So in the last week or so, we've had Dabo Swinney interviewed, and now we've had Nick Saban in a press conference setting, I guess, and they're both talking about, in their opinions, what appears to be the demise of college football under the pressure of NIL and the NCAA transfer portal. I mean, they both really believe that for college football, the way it's always been, it's not good. Yet they also believe that they've got to adapt and adjust and live with it if they're going to compete. But neither one, on the record, like it. What a tough – I mean, on the one hand, of course, I don't feel sorry for them. They make so much money. But on the other hand, what a tough situation to be in as a coach, because based on your principles, you hate what you have to do. But if you're going to win and maintain a championship-level program, you got to do it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. Well, first off, there's a lot of people who don't like Dabo because he's the coach at Clemson. I'm pretty familiar with that rivalry to know that that's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of people don't like Dabo because of what he stands for, what he believes in. And then another faction doesn't like Dabo because they think he whines too much. So he's going to catch heat, and he's got big enough shoulders where I don't feel sorry for him. He'll be fine. But I'll tell you this, Dabo's not alone. I've had multiple coaches off the record tell me that the way the system is set up like now is just ridiculous. It's not that they're anti-NIL. It's that they're anti-NIL without any type of parameters or legislation. And that's essentially what's going on right now. You have no cap. You have no limits. You have nobody really keeping everything in check. You're asking schools to kind of monitor it. We know how that goes when you ask schools to self-police in this day and age. And the NCAA is basically toothless at this point when it comes to NIL. So every coach now has got to play the game, and then they have to beware of their own players getting poached because somebody's playing the game better, or dare I say dirtier than they are. So NIL in its truest form, I never thought was a bad thing, but the way it's been implemented is a joke.
I agree. And Saban went as far as to say, look, he goes, I know that we had one of the highest paid teams in the country last year, through NIL stuff. He acknowledged that he knows he's got his players who are benefiting greatly. The problem, as he sees it, it's not across the board. It's a guy here, it's a guy there. This isn't like real professional sports where, like, you look at an NFL team, you got a quarterback who's making tons of money, but the guy that's snapping him the ball is making millions as well. And the guy at right tackle and the guy at left wide receiver, they're all making big time dollars. A college football team might have a quarterback who's making a lot of money off NIL, but the left tackle might be getting zilch.
Yeah, and there's just no way to change that. I mean, you could ask schools to, again, impose kind of their own scale, if you will, that every player is within a certain parameter, but there's nothing that any governing board is going to do to stop that. The quarterbacks are going to continually for example, I mean, I just had Will Levis at Kentucky. He has a six-figure contract with a horse farm in Kentucky. Now, what do you think his offensive line, which has been the key to their success, they call them the Big Blue Wall, what do you think they're getting? Probably like a free burger at Arby's. That's so if it's not exactly equitable, that's for sure. I mean, some might argue that's just market value, and quarterbacks are always going to make more. But I don't know if this is what we all signed up for in the college game. But again, some of the people that are the loudest voices on this, they don't care about the health of the college game. Again, they come at it as college athletes are victims and they're manipulated and exploited and every other adjective they can come up with. But they don't truly care about the health of the sport. They come at it from the victimization of the college athlete.
Well, and we'll leave you with this. Some believe that the quarterback, the high school kid who got $8 million from an NIL, is that kid that's committed to Tennessee. The quarterback, I am Aliba, from out in California. So this won't change until Saban or people like him or Sweeney, they start losing players because of the NIL, and they're being outbid. Mike, we got to go. Top of the hour. Thank you, man. Have a great weekend.
You got it, guys. Take care.
All right. Be right back. Top of the hour break.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The White House is defending President Biden's decision to label Russian actions in Ukraine as genocide. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the president's accusation of Russian genocide was not a change in U.S. policy. It was, she says, a case of Joe Biden calling it like he sees it.
He was speaking to what he has seen on the ground, what we've all seen in terms of the atrocities on the ground.
French President Macron called Mr. Biden's use of the term genocide an escalation in rhetoric he doesn't think is helpful in ending the war. But Psaki says the president's comment should not confuse world leaders. Greg Clugston, the White House.
A man accused of shooting 10 people at a Brooklyn subway station in New York has been arrested. Ed Donahue reports.
A day after the shooting, Mayor Eric Adams declared, "We got him." Him is Frank James. Chief of Detectives James Essig says he was taken into custody in Manhattan based on a tip.
NYPD patrol officers from the 9th Precinct responded to St. Mark's and First Avenue, where they apprehended him without incident.
In recent months, James railed in online videos about racism, mental health, and violence. Brooklyn U.S. Attorney Breon Peace pointed out one federal charge against James,
which prohibits terrorist and other violent attacks against mass transportation systems.
Peace says there are no signs James was tied to any terror organization. The motive for the attack remains unclear. I'm Ed Donahue.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 344 points to 34,564. The Nasdaq rose 272. The S&P advanced 49. Crude oil up $3.65 to 104.25 a barrel on the New York Mercantile Exchange. More at townhall.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Palestinian officials say a Palestinian man has died after being shot by Israeli forces in response to a wave of recent attacks in Israel.
The Israeli military has stepped up raids and arrests across the West Bank in recent days. Much of their focus has been on Jenin after 2 local men carried out deadly shooting attacks in Tel Aviv. Video shows heavy gunfire during the latest clashes there. Meanwhile, there were also confrontations between Israeli soldiers and Palestinians in Nablus. Tensions remain very high across Israel and the Palestinian territories at a sensitive time.
BBC correspondent Yolanda Nell reporting from Jerusalem. Amazon will add a 5% fuel and inflation surcharge to fees it charges third-party sellers who use the retailer's fulfillment services. The move comes as the e-commerce giant faces rising costs. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast, partly cloudy with lows around 64. It's going to be a nice night. Thursday, a slight chance of showers between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Then a chance of showers and thunderstorms after 1 p.m. Mostly cloudy with highs near 83. Tomorrow night, a chance of showers and thunderstorms remain mainly before 2 a.m. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Well, this happened quickly. In fact, we mentioned it last night, but I have failed to promote it tonight. Reed McKeska, the tight end out of Texas, Cypress, Texas, big tight end, 6'6", about 245, just announced a commitment to Clemson 2 or 3 minutes ago on his Instagram with some, I'm not going to say it, some youngster doing a little interview with him on Instagram. Hey, look, we can't all be highly paid professional, okay? Just leave it at that. But anyway, Clemson picks up a tremendous tight end prospect who had a top 12 that was very impressive, including South Carolina. USC was heavily involved. Alabama, Texas Tech, LSU, Miami, Florida, Michigan State, North Carolina, Baylor, Auburn, and Tennessee. In fact, why don't we do the recruiting report, and we'll go into more details on this. Then
Trivia question.
Yeah.
Trivia question, though, for you real quickly. Can you tell me where Cypress, Texas is?
Just outside of Houston, isn't it?
Very nice. I'm impressed. Yes, sir.
Do you know who you're quizzing?
Northwestern suburb of Houston. I'm impressed. Well done, sir.
Well, thank you. I've been to Houston several times on my way to College Station.
And you drive right through Cypress on your way out of town.
Mm-hmm. I mean, those highways out there are incredible. You don't realize you're going through a town because the highways just let you blow right through. So
you mean like 6-lane highways? It's a remarkable feat. It's a remarkable feat of engineering, isn't it?
With great flyovers and no potholes. Imagine that. Or if there is a pothole, it's fixed like immediately. You know, they can do that in Texas. Anyway, our recruiting report is brought to you by Seawells. And Seawells, of course, invites you out for their daily luncheon buffet every day, 11 to 2. Of course, it's really, really good. Have you got the menu in front of you, Pat? You want to tell us what they've got the rest of the week?
I do. Tomorrow, Thursday, the 14th, Seawells will bring you carved turkey with cornbread dressing, along with southern fried chicken and fried flounder. Friday, fried pork chops, spaghetti with meatballs and southern fried chicken, and then, of course, salad, all the fixings you can handle, and dessert.
Well, they had roast beef earlier in the week, so they moved that off of Friday. So get out and enjoy, and if you're lucky, you might find an Easter egg or two rolling around somewhere out there in the yard outside of Seawells. So we recommend it highly, and, of course, you need the very best in the catering business. They've been doing it for over 70 years. That is Seawells, and the Seawells family and staff can handle all your planning and your catering needs. They'll come to your venue or they'll host at their facility, 1125 Rosewood Drive. 803-771-7385 and their website, SeawellsCateringSC.com. So McKeska follows Christopher Vizina, who we found out after the show last night, they actually called him CV.
Great story.
Not Christopher Vizina. We heard from some people after the show. He goes by CV. So he's the quarterback of the 23 class. Now he's got a big target to throw to along with the other quarterbacks. 6'6", 233. Reed McKeska commits to Clemson. As I mentioned, USC, Alabama, Texas Tech, LSU, Miami, Florida, Michigan State, North Carolina, Baylor, Auburn, and Tennessee, the others in his top group. He visited Clemson for the first time March 5th, and that is where he started to be won over. Now, he's from the Raleigh area, born in the Raleigh area, maybe kind of grew up there for a while, still has family there, so he's familiar with this part of the country. But he told us earlier in the year after visiting Clemson how much he loved the coaches and really liked Sweeney, top-tier facilities, the culture, all those things, the national championships. And he's a tight end that can play attached or he can flank out. He's got that ability to get down the field and make catches. 24 receptions, 300 yards, and 4 touchdowns last season. And he gives Clemson 3 commitments now for the 23 class. USC recently offered offensive tackle Paul Mubinga. He's 6'4", 280, Buford, Georgia. They've been recruiting him since December of 2020, his sophomore year, but just offered on Sunday. Greg Atkins, the line coach, made the offer. He was very excited to get it, and they talked about a lot of different things. In fact, he is planning on visiting South Carolina tomorrow to watch spring practice, the last spring practice before the spring game. It was either Thursday or Saturday, and in this conversation, he felt like it was going to be on Thursday for that visit. Thinks it's a program on the rise, thinks Beamer's doing a great job as head coach, and really likes the coaches and the players who are buying in to what they're doing there at South Carolina. He's got plenty of major offers, including Maryland, Stanford, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Penn State, Nebraska, Boston College, and Georgia Tech. The Gamecock offer really stood out to him. It said to him it means a lot, and it shows that someone who has serious interest in you, they'll stick with you and won't let it go because he eventually got the offer. So the Gamecocks are in pretty good shape with him at this point. He'll cut it down to a small number of schools, and he said South Carolina will definitely make that cut. He can play tackle and guard, and he said Atkins liked how he's versatile, that his tape was very impressive. He's been on the road a lot, checking out schools. He's also been to Penn State, Pitt, West Virginia, Tennessee, Michigan, Maryland, Auburn, Alabama, Texas A&M, Duke, and North Carolina. He's also planning to visit Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. After those visits, he'll cut his list to 10. He's a native of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He moved to the United States when he was 17. He was a soccer player until taking up football at Buford High when he was a freshman. And it went just about how you think it would go, Chris. Some coach saw this big guy out in the hall or on the soccer field or the pitch, whatever you want to call it, and said, dude, you got to come play football. And he followed him up on that, and the rest is history.
Yeah, my guess is he's got terrific footwork, too, which will pay big dividends for him at the next level.
Yeah, it just sounds like a real good athlete. Sounds like a real good athlete, and South Carolina's very much in the mix for him. All right, a few other notes to tell you about. Safety Zabani Sandy of Washington, D.C. visited USC yesterday. Clemson is in the top 5 with offensive tackle Harris Sewell, Odessa, Texas, along with Texas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Alabama. He was in for a recent visit to Clemson. The Portal Report reports. Say that 3 times. The Portal Report reports. South Carolina is among the schools to reach out to Darren Green Jr., who is a transfer guy. Wofford has signed 6'2" Anthony Arrington Jr. of Atlanta. He averaged 25 points this past season and 10 rebounds per game. Defensive back Zay Wells of Lakewood signed with Palmetto Prep and has reclassified for 2023. Dorman offensive tackle DJ Geff, offered by North Carolina. Linebacker Pup Howard out of Jacksonville plans to be at USC for the spring game. That's an important recruit for South Carolina. They've been on him very hard. He's very heavily recruited. Been to Florida a lot. Florida's been hard on him as well. So getting him back is good for South Carolina. And cornerback Brandon Strozier, Alpharetta, Georgia, has scheduled an official to Clemson for June 3rd. He's another of those top recruits Clemson's bringing in for an official visit on June 3rd. He was in for the spring game. Defensive end Nico Avery of Olney, Maryland, plans to be at South Carolina Saturday for the spring game. 2025 running back Gideon Davidson of Lynchburg, Virginia, was at Clemson today for a visit. And let's see if there's anything else here. Offensive tackle Jordan Knox of Northwestern was at South Carolina yesterday for a practice. I think we've covered everything for you at this point. So there you go with the recruiting report for tonight. You can always check it out on our website. Almost knocked my mic over. Can always, and with this thing, you got to be ginger. You got to treat it gingerly. Check out our recruiting information on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. On the Twitter, you want to use the hashtag STRecruiting. Let's see. HR wants to know how we got our entire article on the tight end commitment typed during the short break. Well, HR, you must know, wrote it in advance. I mean, he kind of knew he was going to Clemson, and everything was pointing that way. Some had been proclaiming him to Clemson. We were prepared. We're prepared here on Sports Talk. Back in a moment.
The lady in black doesn't age.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Losses, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dream. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to FutureScholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. FutureScholar.com.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit PlayResponsiblySC.com.
Basketball coach Brad Brownell had a kind of a season wrap-up press conference today. We'll bring you a little bit of that in our next half hour. But he's probably in a pretty good mood because he's picked up a very fine prospect out of the transfer portal by the name of Jalen Llewellyn, who was a 6'2 guard who played the last several years in the Ivy League at Princeton. He is, I think, from Canada, but prepped in Virginia. Well, let's don't guess. Let's welcome in Jalen Llewellyn to Sports Talk tonight. Jalen, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing just fine. I want you to know my SAT was 980, so you overshadowed me greatly in that department. Not to mention with your jump shot and pretty much everything else.
That's funny.
Yeah. Anybody ever give you their SAT score before they interview you?
No, they have not. That's the first.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens
What was
when you go
yours?
to Princeton. Yeah. Oh, now you're asking him what his was. Come on.
Yeah. 1,500?
No. Some of my teammates, they get the perfect ones.
Well, I'm sure it was up there. You just don't, backdoor your way into a place like Princeton.
No.
So, let's go back to that for a second. Coming out of Virginia Episcopal School. Why Princeton for you back in the day? I know Clemson was one of your offers back then, but you opted to go to Princeton.
Yeah, I mean, Princeton has a great athletic program, and it's hard to pass up the academic side of Princeton as well, because you get a degree from there, and you're kind of set for life. And I've learned a lot over these last 4 years, so I'm proud of my decision.
What was your major?
History.
So, I mean, when you thought about that, what were your plans down the road once your basketball career is done? Where do you want to go with that?
I'm not entirely sure yet, but I've done internships in media marketing and I went back over the COVID year to my high school, and I was there. So yeah, I feel like through the connections and what I've learned, I think I'll be good in the future. Just figuring it out later.
Sure, no question.
Right now it's basketball time down in Tiger Town.
True that. Are you originally from Canada?
Yeah, just outside of Toronto.
Okay. How do you pronounce that town?
Mississauga.
Oh, you're from Mississauga. Okay. From what I saw, just looking up some stuff on you, I saw somebody listed it as Mono, like Mono, Ontario.
No, that's where I went to my second high school. That's near Orangeville.
Gotcha. Very good. Yeah, tell us about this go around with Clemson, how it came together with you and the Tigers, and how you feel about joining them.
Yeah, they reached out as soon as I entered the portal, and we just been building a relationship since then. And then went out this past weekend and visited, and felt really comfortable with the guys on campus and the coaching staff, and it just seemed like a great fit.
What did they kind of lay out for you? I mean, you got 1 year to go here, and I know you want obviously immediate opportunity. And with them losing a couple of guards to the portal, I guess you saw that immediate opportunity in their backcourt.
Yeah, definitely. It's if you can be a lead guard in the ACC, you're setting yourself up for success down the road, and that was the opportunity that was presented to me by the coaching staff, and it just seemed like I couldn't pass it up.
Mm-hmm.
New Clemson men's basketball player Jalen Llewellyn joined us tonight here on Sports Talk to chat about his commitment with the Tigers. And Jalen, are you at Clemson this second go-around if Nick Honor and or Alamir Dawes elected to stay, or was that maybe the final push you needed, knowing that they were going to have a big opening in the backcourt?
Definitely having a big opening and a need for a lead guard is something that was very interesting to me, because I want to showcase my skills at that position, and it's a bigger opportunity to do so.
Really good three-point shooter at Princeton. You were actually 8th in the Ivy League, shooting around 39%. Is that the bulk of your game? Describe how you play that position of point guard for Tiger fans. What are they getting in Jalen Llewellyn?
Yeah, I love to shoot the three. At Princeton, our offense was predicated on the three, so we shot a lot of them this past year. But earlier on in my career, I've always been quick and able to get downhill and get to the basket and create for myself and others. So yeah, I'm just ready to rock.
Well, you probably know better than us that there's an offense known as the Princeton offense, defined as a strategy which emphasizes constant motion, backdoor cuts, picks on and off the ball, and disciplined teamwork. Were y'all running a bunch of that? Was the Princeton team running a bunch of the Princeton offense during your time?
A little bit, but not so much the old school slow pace Princeton offense. We kind of turned up the pace this past year. I'm pretty sure we made we're the most points scored in Princeton history and most threes made. So we played a lot faster, but there's still some elements of the old school Princeton offense with back cuts and off ball screens and stuff like that.
Does that help you, even though you're a guy obviously loves to shoot the three and hang out on the perimeter, but having some of those characteristics maybe in your personal game? Have you picked some of those up? Has that helped you develop overall as a player?
Definitely. It gave me some knowledge and IQ to learn how to move without the ball and create and cut within space and stuff like that. So it's definitely helped.
When you were coming out of high school in Virginia and Clemson had offered you and you had all those other offers, how strongly did you consider Clemson back then?
It was I was definitely considering them pretty heavily. Like it's hard to remember and go back all those years and think about it as but I built a relationship with some of the staff there back then, and it definitely helped during this go around.
What was it like for you guys when I think the Ivy League, right, suspended everything during the COVID year? You guys didn't play, let's see, 18, 19, 19, so 2021, right? You guys had to have the whole season off?
Yeah. We had no season. Went back to my high school in Virginia. I was a dorm parent and assistant coach, and to stay in contact with the team, we mostly just did team Zooms, like with the whole group, or then break out into smaller groups. But yeah, I didn't see most of the guys for like 18 months.
Wow, that's right. They closed the whole school and sent you guys home, right?
Yep.
So, what was it like when you guys got back together for this year? And did you just easily pick it right back up, playing well with one another, or did it take some adjusting?
I don't think it took any adjusting at all, really. We were all super excited to get back, and I think having that time off made us all just hungrier to win some more games together.
So what is your plan now as far as finishing up there and getting to Clemson? What does it look like for you?
I just turned in my senior thesis, so it's just I'm finishing out these final two classes and then graduating May 24th.
What was your senior thesis on?
Desegregation in Mississippi higher education.
Interesting. What'd you learn from that?
Mm-hmm. It was mostly centered around James Meredith and the Ole Miss riots, but I learned of some other cases as well, and just going through like old newspaper articles and stuff. There's a lot of information about just the racial segregation down in the South, and there's a lot to cover. I turned in like 94 pages, but
wow,
so it was good.
Sounds to me like you got an A on the way.
Nope.
Oh, you don't? You don't think so?
No, I know I don't.
I mean, they've already graded
but
it?
it's good enough. Because we have an advisor and they read it over and give comments. But yeah, it looks like I'll pass and be able to get my degree. But an A on a thesis is a different level of work, regardless of the amount of pages.
I'm just looking back here at y'all's season. I just remembered that you guys played South Carolina early, second game of the season, and beat them 66-62, playing in a little tournament. What do you remember about that game against the Gamecocks?
I remember they had a lot of length and they put a lot of pressure, but it was a great game, great team game, and we pulled it out, and it was great to get that win.
Matter of fact, I mean, you guys had a great year. You won your first round tournament game, then you lost to Yale, 66-64. You had an NCAA tournament caliber team, though, don't you think?
Yeah, I definitely think if we were able to get past Yale in that final game, we could have made a little bit of noise in the tournament, but it's not how the cookie crumbled. But we're still proud of what we accomplished this year.
And last thing, we'll let you go. Getting to Clemson with Coach Brownell and the team he's got coming back. I know they lost those two guards who were good players, but Hunter Tyson's coming back. P.J. Hall's coming back. I think they've got a nice class coming in as well. As you kind of looked at them, broke them down, and thought about, can this team do something special? What did you see with the group coming back that you think you can work with and do something special with?
I mean, there's great pieces, and they're all great players. And I think I want to come into this program and just do everything I can to help these guys get to where they were when they made that Sweet 16 run. I think that's the type of special we could be if we can get to work.
Hey, Jalen, Pat Daniel here. I bring this up mostly just to be comical, but you went to VES in Lynchburg. I played only 1 year, but at Blue Ridge, outside of Charlottesville, and I'm looking here, and looks like you guys took a little bit of a step back after you moved on to Princeton. Just curious about your time at VES, and it's pretty similar in terms of size and small town to what you then experienced at Princeton, and I also went to Clemson, and so what you will then experience at Clemson. Just curious if that's kind of I don't know if you still get back there often. You mentioned you became a dorm. What'd you say? Dorm parent?
Yeah, dorm parent.
Dorm parent. If you still keep up with those guys a lot, if you're still involved with the VES program or what?
Yeah, I love VES. I go back anytime I can. It's been a second home for me ever since I first got there. So I have a lot of love for small town Lynchburg.
Yeah, Pat's claim to fame is that after one game, he got a chance to dap with LeBron James. So he was really excited about that.
That's pretty cool.
I'm sure you played plenty of pretty big name players in your time in Virginia too, though.
Yeah, we played some big names.
Hey, we're going to let you go. Congratulations on everything. Appreciate you joining us, and Tiger fans can't wait to see you in their uniform and representing. So good luck with everything, and we will see you down here in South Carolina, not too far down the road.
Yep, thank you so much for having me.
You got it. Thank you, sir. Jalen Llewellyn. That game against the Gamecocks, by the way, Chris, 16 points.
Yeah, he was their leading scorer. He hit 4 threes, and we talked about his ability to stroke it from the outside. That's going to be something Clemson desperately needs now with both Honor and Alamir Dolls out the door.
Is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast, partly cloudy with lows around 64. It's going to be a nice night. Thursday, a slight chance of showers between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Then a chance of showers and thunderstorms after 1 p.m., mostly cloudy with highs near 83. Tomorrow night, a chance of showers and thunderstorms remain, mainly before 2 a.m. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Aiken-Cochran. As Miss America, I know that taking care of yourself is important. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. Brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a retired firefighter, and I have been retired for about 6 years. I had a lot of damage done to my body over the course of my employment, and I'm coming up on my first year anniversary of taking Balance of Nature. And I'm agile and energetic, and the doctors and the physical therapists are amazed. They're like, you don't even need us. I don't think I would be doing half as well as I'm doing if I hadn't had extra nutrition from Balance of Nature to help my body heal itself.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature right now. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com for more information or to place your order. Shipping is always free. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code BALANCE.
When it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories, some things are changing. Well, fortunately, some things haven't changed a bit. I'm talking all about Shooter's Choice in West Columbia. What has never and will never change is the customer service. Top-notch with the staff that has decades of experience in the firearms industry. This staff actually hunts and shoots regularly. For over 30 years, Shooter's Choice has never lost that hometown feel and never felt like shopping at some big box store. What has changed? Well, technology. If you'd rather spend your money on firearms than gas, go online to shooterschoicesc.com and check out a great website that's easy to navigate 24/7. Be the first to get items as they are received at the store. Be the first to get that newest production model ordered before it even enters the the retail store. Come pick it up at your convenience. Sign up for notifications of new products and special inventory. It's all at ShootersChoiceSC.com. So come on in and see the team at Shooter's Choice, 944 Sunset Boulevard, or visit online. Either way, you'll see what I'm talking about. Make your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Hi, this is Marsha Klayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for The Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for The Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP, on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
Hi, Chris Neely here from the South Carolina Public Charter School District. Join me every Tuesday afternoon at 5:30 with Kev as we put our kids first. We'll answer all your questions about charter schools in the Palmetto State. Kids first, every Tuesday afternoon at 5:30 on The Point.
Everyone knows that here at The Point, we are all about supporting local businesses. We are all about local, local, local. You cannot get more local than my friend Greg McCoy and his business, Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Fran Halloran here. If you're buying a home or you're looking to refinance your current home, you owe it to yourself to call Greg. He is the real deal. You can expect Greg to treat you like you are his only client. You can expect Greg to scour the market to find you the best rate available. You can expect Greg to charge you a fair price for his work and his service. Why would you deal with some national company headquartered in who knows where when you can do business with Greg? Need further persuasion? Okay, I didn't even mention the good Greg does in our community by supporting local charities like Blue Star Mothers and Camp Chemo. Come on, you need to call Greg. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com, or you can call Greg at 803-722-6044. That's 722-6044.
Of KT. We've been thinking about this for 24 hours because he wasn't with us last night on his normal slot. So we have the 24 hours of KT. KT, how are you?
I'm doing great. I know it's been a long 24 hours for you guys, but I think it's well worth it.
It is. It's well worth the wait. I hope you had a very nice visit with some people last night and a very nice dinner.
I did. I certainly did.
Yeah. Well, before we look ahead, let's look back because another terrific race at Martinsville yesterday. I'm sorry, what day is this? Sunday. So, I mean, they keep rolling out the terrific finishes.
It was Saturday night.
Was it Saturday night? All right, whatever it was. Very competitive event is what I'm trying to get to once again. A very competitive race.
Yeah, I mean, they had a triple hitter up there at Martinsville. Truck race on Thursday, Xfinity race on Friday night, and then the Cup race on Saturday night. And I actually had to battle some difficult weather on Saturday. I was there at that race, and right during driver introductions, the temperature at the time was only in the 40s, and it was raining. And then all of a sudden, it started sleeting, and so. That obviously kept the race from getting off on time, but we got it off and had a good race. And William Byron becomes only the first two-time winner this year. And his car was fantastic and really, put a whipping on the rest of the field. And I think it just continues to show that the Chevrolet camp is is figured this new car out maybe better than everybody else. And you've seen a lot of winners with that Chevrolet logo on their car. And but yeah, William Byron won Saturday night at Martinsville, and it was an exciting race. Only 400 laps. Typically, the races at Martinsville are 500 laps, but this was 400. And I think the people that were at the race actually were glad that it was, because by the time that race finished up around 11:30, it was about 38 degrees.
That's cold. That's really cold. What about a little dust up between Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer in the Xfinity race? I mean, maybe a little more than a dust up. We had some. We had at least one punch being thrown.
Yeah.
I guess that Ty Gibbs was smart enough to keep his helmet on, but he threw a nasty right hook there and he connected.
Boy, he did. He's a little guy, but he has quick hands, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But those guys have been racing for a long time together. They grew up, I think, racing in the Legend Series out at Charlotte Motor Speedway, so I'm sure they've had their run-ins. And I think Ty Gibbs has certainly quickly made a statement for himself in the Xfinity Series. Goodness gracious, he's got 5 or 6 wins already in a very short period of time. And yet he's not afraid to bump somebody or move somebody out of the way. And I think Sam Mayer had seen enough of that and had enough of that. And so there were some words exchanged there on pit road after the race. And, one thing led to the other. And next thing you know, Ty takes a couple of swings at him. And he had a pretty good shiner there. I saw his interview afterwards. And, he got hit pretty good there under the eye. So, but he took his helmet off and Ty kept his on. So, but I do know that they fined Ty $15,000, but it wasn't for the fight. It was for running into somebody on pit road with a car. That's a real big no-no when you do that. So he can get fined, but he didn't get fined for the fight.
Dale Jr. Started 30th, finished 11th. So he probably had a real good time getting back out there and showing he hasn't lost at all. He's still got some of the driving skills.
Absolutely. And I think the thing that, Dale Jr. just enjoys racing. He doesn't do it but once a year. And that's because of his sponsor, Hellman's. They pick a race, or he helps them pick a race that he can race once a year in the Xfinity Series. If you recall, he raced here at Darlington a few years ago. And it was interesting. After the race was over, he just asked all the drivers and whomever wanted to come over by his car and drink a beer. And so there were several drivers over there. Jeremy Clements from Spartanburg. I saw some pictures and videos of him just sitting over there with Dale Jr. drinking a Bud Light. And so, that's Dale Jr. He enjoys the sport. He enjoys the camaraderie. I'm sure he misses it some, but it was great to have him, because the crowd that they had Friday night was probably double what they would normally get for an Xfinity race.
Gary Tharp, president of Darlington Raceway, with us for his weekly visit, talking NASCAR. And KT, it's Bristol, baby. You've got the dirt race coming up this weekend, but I'm sure this is going to ruffle a lot of NASCAR fans. For the first time in 32 years, the race is actually going to be held on Easter Sunday. Were you surprised when the schedule came out that the race was going to be on Easter Sunday? And since you're running at night, why not run it Saturday night after the I think they've got a truck race on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Why not run it like you guys have done, double dip on Saturday and avoid running on Easter?
Well, you bring up a good point. I think NASCAR has tried not to run on Easter for pretty much its entire career. But, things change. You look at other sports, and they certainly play on Easter. I know baseball does. I'm sure the NBA will have games on Easter Sunday. So I think NASCAR is just trying to do some things maybe to change it up a little bit. I got to believe they think they're going to have a good TV viewing audience Sunday night on Fox. And so I think that probably played into it some, Chris. As far as the TV window, there's really no other sporting events on Sunday night. But it certainly is something different. But when they gave us our Mother's Day race back, racing on Mother's Day was something that the sport hadn't really done too much, if any. But I think we found that can work, and I'm sure NASCAR will take a look at this and see if it does work. And if it works, they'll continue to do it. If it doesn't, then I'm sure they'll make some type of adjustments.
Speaking of racing on Mother's Day weekend with the official throwback weekend of NASCAR coming to Darlington next month. KT, you guys announced earlier this week that Goodyear is hot back on board, and it'll be the Goodyear 400 at Darlington. That's got to make you feel good as the track president a month out to still have and now have both of your big races already sponsored and not have to worry about trying to get a sponsorship, I would think, at the last moment.
Absolutely. And Goodyear is such an iconic brand. They fit so well with Darlington, so well with the throwback weekend. They're once again going to have a throwback tire on the cars. I think a tire that they used back in the 1980s. And so it's extremely fortunate that we got Goodyear coming back with us. And I think this is probably a multi-year deal. They're the official tire of NASCAR, and we love them being here for the Goodyear 400 in the Cup race on Mother's Day. And they've been around in the sport about 55 years. So that's hard to beat, that track record, that longevity, and certainly that history.
All right. And how are things shaping up around the track as far as making her purdy and getting everything in place?
Going extremely well, Phil. Our landscaping is in full mode. We're going to start painting the walls in earnest first of next week. We actually had a manufacturer's test out here the last couple of days where you had drivers from Toyota, Ford, and Chevrolet out here just testing the cars, getting data, so they could share them back with their respective race teams. But we're still selling tickets extremely hard. We've got just a handful of infield camping spots left. So if somebody wants to go camping, they need to do that right now. And you got a few hours left in this flash sale that we have with Goodyear. So if you buy a cup ticket before midnight tonight, you'll also get a free pre-race pass. So I encourage fans to do that. It was a 72-hour sale that we started on Monday. So we're selling tickets, working hard to make the place look good, and everybody will start arriving here in about 3 weeks.
Absolutely. All right, do you feel good about what you guys have done from a ticket sales standpoint?
I do, Phil. I do. I think it's still a relatively new event. We had it last year, and it was the COVID event, and so we were only able to have about 9,000 or 10,000 people here. So, it's almost kind of like starting over. But we're working extremely hard and trying to get fans that have come to the Southern 500 previously to come. I just came from an event we had tonight in our museum with the Florence Chamber of Commerce. We had about 50 chamber members here. I know we sold them some tickets and made some new fans. And so, we're going to have a good crowd when it comes Mother Day weekend.
Well, we look forward to being there. And as always, thank you for your time. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy Bristol on Sunday night, right? It is Sunday this time? Sunday night. Sunday night.
Yes, sir.
Last week it was Saturday. I thought it was Sunday. I thought this was Saturday, but it's going to be Sunday. All right. But, that's the thing about NASCAR, man. I wish they'd decide on one time frame to run the races.
Yeah,
so
all the races back in the day were at 1 o'clock on Sunday, but those days are kind of over right now.
I think you're right. We thank you. Have a great week. Talk to you next week.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Gary Tharp, the president of Darlington, with us here.
NASCAR is going to get some backlash on this, Phil. I'm 51 years old. This is only the second time since I was born in 1970 that NASCAR is going to run a race on Easter Sunday. There's a reason they don't run a race on Easter Sunday. They're going to get some backlash from this, I would think, over the weekend, and there's no reason for it. Again, why not put them on the dirt Saturday night at Bristol? How cool would that have been?
Yeah, absolutely. One more quick recruiting note just ran across, basketball-wise. A Wofford transfer, Max Klesmit, has announced a Final Four. Clemson, South Carolina, Colorado State, and Vanderbilt. Like
he's a good player, too.
Vanderbilt V. Go ahead, sir.
I was going to say he's a really, really good player, and that'll be a good get for whomever is able to land him.
Got 3 years of eligibility remaining, and looks like he averaged 15 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists per game this past season. All right, now we'll go to the break and hear from Brad Brownell. Since he spoke late this afternoon, had a press conference, kind of wrap things up with the season. Some comments from Brad Brownell coming up after this break here on Sports Talk. And then we'll drop in a few other notes for you and wrap her up here on a Wednesday night. This is Wednesday, right? A Wednesday night. And then Mr. Chris will be on vacation. I don't like it when he's on vacation.
Appreciate that. It's good to be
Well,
missed.
it's not a personal thing. It means I just have to work more when you're gone. That's all. Be right back.
The lady in black doesn't age.
Sports fans, are you in it to win it? Join South Carolina's fight against COVID-19 by getting your vaccine today. Vaccines are safe and will help stabilize school operations by bringing us back together safely. The CDC recommends everyone 5 years and older get vaccinated. Visit scdhec.gov/VaxLocator or call 866-365-8110 to find a vaccination station near you.
Founders Federal Credit Union knows your life is busy and your money is important. We are proud to offer local personalized services and convenient online services like Founders Online and the Founders app. You'll love being with us as much as we love serving you. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Relax, win with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Sports Talk, final 10 minutes of the program. Brad Brownell had a press conference late this afternoon with folks up in the upstate to kind of recap the season. I'll let you lead into it, Chris, since you have listened to it and pieced it together for us.
Well, and I think a lot of this comes in the aftermath of the wake of Graham Neff, the new athletics director at Clemson, basically sending a letter to Brad Brownell saying you're not meeting expectations. And the implications are, I don't know if he's that blunt, but it seems like Brad Brownell get us to the NCAA tournament, or he may be looking for a new job. So Brownell sort of pulled in all his resources that he could. Feels like they're in a good place moving forward, even with some of the defections they have had into the transfer portal here the past couple of weeks. But feels like everything is in place for them to make a solid run. And he believes they can go further than just an appearance. He actually says he wants to take Clemson to the Final Four. Well, of course, everybody does, but boy, set those kind of expectations. You better cash in. Well, and so
I was going to say, I wanted to go out on a date with Pamela Anderson about 20 years ago, but that didn't happen either.
Did you ask her?
Well, she wouldn't take my call. So that's like losing in the round of 16 or the opening weekend. They don't take your call. That's a loss. Yeah. That's an L. Big old L right up here against the forehead.
I mean, considering Frank Martin was let go basically because he could not get the Gamecocks to the NCAA tournament, much less advance further. Brad Brownell's taken them 3 times as the Tigers head coach, and he met with the media a little bit earlier today to sort of lay out his case going into this offseason, which is critically important now for the Tigers.
Last year, really proud of our team. Man, last year was hard in a lot of ways. New roster. I think the first thing is to just remember that, hey, we were coming off an NCAA tournament. And I think sometimes the COVID NCAA tournament almost doesn't have the feel that some people remember because we didn't have sellout crowds and all those things where everybody got to see all those games. But that team was really, really good. And Amir Sims was a fantastic player. And I say all that because I think I knew, number one, PJ's a really good player, but we only played him 9 or 10 minutes a game that year. And he had a lot to learn. But we knew when we kind of were building our team for this season that, hey, we got some holes to fill with Clyde and John Bear and certainly Amir, who I thought was one of the best two-way players, guy who plays both ends of the court at an exceptionally high level. So I knew there would be some hiccups, bumps in the road at times. And we played like it at times, but I thought we really got better and finished the year winning 5 out of our last 6, back against the wall in some ways. PJ Hall playing with, essentially a spot on his foot, hot spot the whole year, and can't practice, but 20 to 30 minutes every once in a while the day before a game. Hunter Tyson breaks his clavicle when we're starting to kind of turn it around and play well after we had a great win against Florida State. We lose 6 in a row, without him in the lineup, and that was impactful. But our guys didn't give in, man. They didn't give in. I'm really proud of them. We lose the game at Louisville, and the first play of the game, we run a play for PJ and he scores, drop step, looks like an all-conference player laying it in. We get a stop, second play of the game, we come down the court, throw it to him in transition, and he's down, right? And it's this one isn't good. And we ended up losing the game, and Ben Middlebrooks and Ian Shefflin go in the game. Ian was probably playing a little bit already because Hunter's out. And our kids play their tails off. We lose at Louisville 70-61 or something like that. And I remember walking in the locker room and really challenging our team that I know we don't have Hunter, I know we don't have PJ, but we've got a lot of other scholarship players, and we need to start winning some games. And Ben, you and Ian haven't gotten a lot of play, but you're going to get a lot now. We need to figure this out. And challenging our staff a little bit. And the kids really responded. And for us to beat Wake Forest at home, as talented as they were, to go on the road and beat Boston College and then finish the season the way we did, I'm just really proud of that group. The ending was heartbreaking because I felt like we were really playing good basketball at the end, and we finally were clicking. And obviously the way it ended with the last shot, just really hurt us, hurt the hearts of a lot of our kids, because our kids believed that we could win. Now, the funny thing is, or not funny thing, but I don't know that PJ would have been able to play the next day. I really don't think he would have played because his foot was, really bothering him, and lucky to get him to play back-to-back games. And I say all that to say, man, if you can't admire the fight and the competition and the grit that we like to talk about, then it's easy to be disappointed. It's easy to be upset. We all wish we won more games. We we hope that we would be another NCAA tournament team. But if you really followed us and you followed the stories and you watched our kids, you just were really impressed and pleased with the way they wouldn't give in. And we lost 1 million close games. We had some heartbreaking defeats. We had 2 shots at the buzzer that didn't go in. We obviously had a couple that did against us. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes that's basketball. And I, as a coach, got to do a better job of figuring out ways to make sure that either we don't get into that situation or that when we do, we finish it. But as a coach of a group of guys that had to deal with a lot more than people probably realize, I'm just really proud of my team and my kids for what they were able to do. One thing that I want to mention, I think this, I know there's a level of some frustration with us in our program with wanting more and wanting more. And believe me, the guy who wants it the most is me. But I think like that last season was an example of the kind of program we have. We've had 1 losing season since I've been the head coach at Clemson. You can go through the league, and almost every other school has had that or more. Most of them have had a lot more. And my point to that is, like, that's what you saw in our kids fighting. We didn't talk about it. It wasn't say, hey, we're trying to have a winning season, but we fought to the end. And, people don't look at a lot of the details of our league. In the last 5 years in the ACC, we're 7th in wins. And there's some names behind us in the league that are bigger name schools. But that speaks to the consistency of the way that the kids in our program compete and fight and try to get the most out of our ability and our talent. And we don't give in. And, hey, we all wish we were doing better, and we need to do better. There's another level that we're aspiring to get to, and I think we're closer than some people think. But there's also a level of consistency and competitive spirit in our program that should be a little bit more admired by some people. There's a lot of teams in our league that have 2 bad seasons in a row, then they make the tournament. Then they have a okay season, a losing season, make the tournament. Maybe they win a couple more games. And I get it. Like, everything is measured by the tournament, which that's fine. And that's our expectation, is to make the tournament. Like, that's what we're trying to do. And we're getting to the point where, hey, we need to get in there and even do more. We need to try to get more Sweet 16s and Final Fours and those kinds of things. We can do that here.
Okay, Brad Brownell, all of it's up on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Some great stuff from him there. You can, feel the defensive mechanism kicking in there when they're citing records and everything like that. So
sounds like Frank Martin.
The pressure will be on him next year.
There's no question.
Let me mention very quickly, we haven't touched on it, RBC Heritage tees off in the morning. Our man George Bryan is already there.
Sweet.
And he'll be reporting back to us tomorrow and Friday at 6:30. So this will be a great place to tune into to get firsthand professional golf knowledge from Harbortown. Looking forward to it. They tee off first thing in the morning around 7 o'clock or so. And we'll be following that on Sports Talk, as well as the SEC and ACC women's tournaments that continue. Chris, you have a great vacation, my man.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate that.
See you in a week. Pat,
yes, sir.
You're stuck with me for another night, so I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Have a great night, and we shall see you tomorrow here on Sports Talk.